Okay, hello and welcome to today's Fpwebinar. This is on Managed Database. I'm Bill Newton, Marketing Manager here at Fpweb.net. With me today is Eric Lough, our Manager of Managed Services. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Not a problem. Pleasure to be here.
Let me advance this slide to show your picture, and then let me get into the agenda for today. We're going to talk about the advantages of a managed database service, and then we're going to get into what to look for when you're shopping for a managed database service provider, and Eric can speak to those things that differentiate the different providers of managed database services. Then we'll take some questions, so if you have any, go ahead and tee those up for us now by submitting them anytime throughout the presentation, and that way we can jump right into those at the end of the presentation. And after we get done with those questions, at the very end, we will give away a $50 Amazon gift card to one lucky random participant. So looking forward to that as well. Let's go ahead and jump in. Eric, I'll let you get started here. Talk to us about managed database advantages.
Sure, Bill. When you take advantage of our managed database service, what you're essentially doing, you're gonna optimize your database performance. You're gonna increase your efficiency. You will lock down those maintenance costs and reduce that training requirement. You're gonna meet evolving availability demands easily without having to stretch your resources. You're gonna be able to satisfy those compliance requirements. Again, huge sticking point. Very difficult to achieve with any public provider to date. You must know where your data lives to satisfy most of these compliance.
Okay, that makes sense.
Customize your configurations at a more granular level. Again, data is the backbone of your business. You have to store it and access it securely, especially, like we mentioned, when compliance is involved.
Right.
Databases are complex. They're costly to configure, manage, monitor, maintain. They have a very sensitive ecosystem as well.
Okay.
It's very easily to corrupt a database. If anybody's dealt with that, you're in huge trouble. Administration can easily account for a huge portion of the cost, the total cost of ownership, at least, of a database. It's extremely difficult to take a non-DBA person and then expect that person to be able to drive your database performance in your ecosystem and keep it healthy.
Okay.
It doesn't work. That's why you have DBAs. That's why they are in such high demand. Also, speaking about that demand, that's also why they're very hard to keep on staff.
Right.
They possess a very unique skill set. Shout out to any DBAs out there. You do a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
When you utilize our expert DBAs from outside, you can handle your database management and free up your team to pursue your core objectives.
Okay, so if I'm going to recap what you said have been kind of the advantages of getting an outsourced managed database, it would be that it's a very complex and costly endeavor to do that internally.
Extremely.
And as you can see from the little pie chart on the screen there, like you said, a huge portion of your cost of doing your managed database in-house would be just on the admin. And then probably the second point I would reemphasize from what you were just talking about would be the ability to remove the burden of training, not only the skill set involved for a DBA, but then to know the intricacies of your company and how you need them to apply that expertise to your system. And then that challenge of retaining such a skilled person.
Exactly.
Okay, so it would be much more efficient to outsource your database management to a third party, and it would be an unburdening of your team then to be able to focus on their core business, on your core business, on innovating for your core business, while you let that database management rest on someone else's plate.
Right. Let your experts that know your company drive your company. Let us do the grunt work, and we're not going to go anywhere.
Right. Okay.
Now, where some managed database service providers will differ, access to expertise, obviously. A lot of them are also host dependent. They do not want to take on this burden without hosting your database. Fpweb definitely differs there. And of course, everybody's most important, cost.
Right. Now, it all comes down to money.
Now, Fpweb, we provide support from Fpweb.net's remote DBAs and 24/7 access to expertise. We have managed 1.8 billion logins since 1999. We're a Microsoft Gold certified partner, extremely important. And you'll get a live person here in St. Louis who responds to your tickets within 6 minutes, and that's going to be 24/7, 365, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you name it. The database plan of Fpweb's absolute support will cover MS SQL, it'll cover your Oracle databases, NoSQL, MongoDB, MySQL, database upgrades and migrations, and it also includes admin support.
Okay.
For example, a lot of our customers utilize our absolute support by having us manage their SQL server. What this will include is database administration and support, obviously.
Yep.
Query tuning, performance and SAN setup. And this actually goes a little bit deeper than SQL in that we're actually going to take care of your SAN as well. We're going to present, we'll help you present these drives. We'll help you set up high-speed arrays, even if it's on-prem. Especially, that's what we already do here, hosting at Fpweb.
Right.
So it's really just changing the locale. We do warehouse and BI, business value translation, Amazon RDS for SQL Server, Azure for SQL databases. We will do SQL Server upgrades, data type conversions, and we'll help you implement your disaster recovery strategy as well as your high availability. And those two do kind of tie in together, so I want to mention them together. Disaster recovery, you have obviously your cold, warm, and hot failover scenarios. There's licensing aspects to look out for. You have high availability, which is your cluster scenario. Many people are probably familiar with your clustered SQL databases. That helps you keep high availability, which is one step of prevention, which ties into your disaster recovery strategy. We're very familiar with all these. We implement these, and really the spectrum is our limit. We can go cold to hot. That DBA level support, it's also going to include admin support. Our clients utilize this for the Microsoft apps that they run on top of SQL, such as SharePoint. We manage that by providing 24/7 help desk, like we mentioned before.
Okay.
We're going to do emergency break fix. So that's if something goes wrong, we're on it. You've got someone that has your back. We do training, tutorials, migrations and upgrades. I do believe migrations and upgrades we mentioned earlier. You can't mention it enough. Those are the two most painstaking endeavors that you will ever embark on when it comes to application or even SQL itself. Patching, backups, restores, that infrastructure maintenance, consulting, and then also your one-off projects. If you have a project, bring it to us. We're happy to listen. We'll put a plan together, see if you like it. If so, let's do it.
All right, so let me just jump in for a second and clarify that when you say that migrations are covered in database management, so first of all, you're saying database management also includes admin support, and with that admin support comes a migration?
Let's say you're considering migrating to SharePoint 2016.
Sounds reasonable.
You're also considering unburdening your team from database management. Our absolute support database plan is going to include both in one nice big package with a bow. Most database management service providers will only support your database if you're also paying them to host it, as we mentioned before. We don't care where your database lives. We're going to care for it. Last but not least, you do have the cost factor, which is your expertise, so I will let you take it from there.
Let's get into the money aspect. So Fpweb.net is the only managed service provider who puts their prices right on the website that I could tell. So you can see exactly how much it costs without having to sign up for the whole price quote process. Absolute support is a subscription plan that includes unlimited use. So you don't have to worry about tracking your hours used, haggling over how many hours each support request is worth, or having to randomly buy more hours at inopportune times because you've run out. Absolute Support puts the team of experts at Fpweb.net on retainer at a budget-friendly price that you can plan for each month. Now, the database level of Absolute Support, which includes the admin level of the plan as well, costs $4,995 per month. That is a combined savings of $8,555 a month, or 63% savings, when you compared to the national average payroll of a database administrator plus a systems admin. This is according to salary.com, and that's just pulling numbers out of midair. That does not even take into account the benefits that you would most likely have to provide those full-time employees. And that would increase your combined savings to 74%, again, according to salary.com. So if I can recap how to choose your best managed database service provider. And I know that we've come strong here on recommending Fpweb.net because we feel really good about our service. But these are some also a pretty good checklist that Eric's provided here on what you should look for when you're shopping for a managed database service provider. So you're looking for access to expertise. Is your database management provider going to be available 24/7, 365? Is that access to expertise that's USA based? Like Eric said, Fpweb.net, you're getting somebody from St. Louis. Is that expertise Microsoft Gold Partner certified, like Fpweb.net? And is that access within 6 minutes of your ticket request, 24 hours a day? And we're not just talking about an automated reply, we're talking about a live person in St. Louis replying. Now, the second thing that he really homed in on was host dependence. So, like he said, most companies will be happy to take your money to manage your database as long as they can take more of your money to host your database. And while we'd be happy to host your database here at Fpweb.net, we will manage your database no matter where it lives. And like Eric said, we'll take care of it. And then the third part was the cost. And so let me just say one more time, 63% cost savings when compared to the combined payroll of those two full-time employees that we'll take care of. Database admin and admin, yeah. So let me switch here to a website.
I guarantee, call your database team today or your DBA today, he's not answering in 6 minutes.
That's a great call. That is a good point, Eric. So if you want to know more, go to fpweb.net/managed-database or drop us an email at sales@fpweb.net or give us a call at 866-780-4678. So I'll leave that up there, phone number, email address, and the website while we take a few questions. All right, let's see. What do we got here? First one says, what kind of response do you get in 6 minutes?
Very good question.
That is, and that's exactly. I'm glad you asked because I alluded to this just a second ago when we were recapping, but it's not an auto reply that says thanks for submitting your ticket. Someone will be with you, and
thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, we'll get to this in the morning or whatever. You will get a live person replying to you saying, I understand the problem, or I need these things clarified, and this is kind of here's the next steps. Here's what we're going to do. I'm not saying we're going to solve it in 6 minutes, but I will say that we will reply in 6 minutes from a live person in St. Louis.
And you're getting a knowledgeable expert.
Exactly.
This isn't a first level call center. This is you're getting right to attack.
Good point of clarification. All right, so let's see what else we got. Here's a good one. When using a SQL cluster, do you need double licensing? Eric, you got any insight on that?
Licensing questions are always pretty tricky. With SQL licensing, the popular answer is if you query it, you must license it. You'll hear that mantra everywhere. What it comes down to is with a cluster, there's only one active node at any one given point in time. A lot of people live under the false assumption that it's more like load balancing when it's not.
Okay.
This actually lives on one server and it fails over to another server when it recognizes that server is no longer communicating. So you only have one instance active at a time, which means you only need to have one instance licensed at a time.
Okay, well, then when would you need double licensing?
So when you would need double licensing is really in your hot failover scenarios, and then also in some warm failover scenarios. With 2016, you need to have a on-premise environment. With software assurance, you can also have, it covers you for most of your warm failovers. This is not true for something like an Azure, however. That multi-tenant is not covered. You would actually have to license both environments in that situation, whereas that's where Fpweb actually has a little bit of an advantage. If you were to host here, that you could use that software assurance license as your license. So you'd only need one.
Okay, that's an interesting point. What about, let's see, okay, I'll take this one. It says, what about help with .NET development? Is that included? You know, the developer plan. So we've talked about the admin plan and the database plan that takes care of database management. That's part of Fpweb.net's absolute support. The next step up is the developer plan, which includes custom code like .NET development. It also includes software and app source code, Team Foundation server, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And that costs $7,495 a month. So that's 66% combined savings when compared to the full-time payroll of that admin, DBA, and a developer. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fourth part of our absolute support, and that'd be the security level. So that's the highest part of our absolute support, and it not only includes the admin level services, the DBA level services, and the developer level services, but it also includes secure cloud, advanced malware protection, and a 24/7 incident response team for your cybersecurity needs. And that costs $9,995 a month, which sounds like a lot, but that's a 68% combined savings when compared to the full-time employees' salaries of an admin, a systems admin, a database administrator, and a software developer, and a security analyst. That's without benefits that you would be paying for those four. So got a little off track, but yes, .NET development is not included in the database plan, but it is definitely something that is included in our developer plan. So here's another question here. Is there a maximum number of SQL databases or servers per customer?
And today there's not. You can join in the service right now. One of the biggest pluses really about the service is its scalability. Again, you're getting a full-time employee. So obviously a full-time employee is not going to be able to manage 2 million databases. So you might have to get multiple versions, but there is no limit around this plan. You can scale up as much or as little as needed. No project's too big or too small, if you will.
Okay. Scalability being the key there.
Right.
Okay. All right. Not a whole lot of questions today. I see one more, and it says, what is the commitment to the absolute support plan? And once again, I'm glad you asked, because it's an annual contract. Most customers choose to go with a 3-year commitment because of the incentives and the discounts of taking advantage of a multi-year commitment. But if you're not satisfied in the first 30 days of any of those years, so you get a 30-day window at the beginning of year 2 and another 30-day window at the beginning of year 3. And if you're, for whatever reason, you're not satisfied with our expert, USA-based, 24/7 absolute support on premises or in any cloud, you can get out. You can cancel.
I suppose it could always be they're so satisfied that everything's done as well.
That's our goal, yes. That's our goal. All right, it looks like that's all the questions. So let me just say that I will email a link to the recording of this webinar to everybody, along with the registration link for our next one. It'll be December 13th, that's a Tuesday, and it's going to be about managed infrastructure on premises, 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, Eric, let me get this window out of the way and let you scroll through the attendees and pick a winner for our $50 Amazon gift card. Spare you the drum roll.
And we've got Reggie.
Reggie Swanigan, thank you so much. You are the lucky winner, and appreciate everybody joining us today for the FP webinar. Eric, thanks for being our presenter today.
Hey, thanks for having me.